Captain Jake Morrison stood upon the bridge of the UEES Vengeance, gazing at the endless stars through the vast viewport. The ship was the crown jewel of Earth's fleet, a vessel both new and unmatched in power. The Vengeance carried firepower capable of shattering a small moon, its armor thick enough to endure a direct nuclear strike. For 2 years Jake had commanded her, yet real combat had never come. Most of his crew quietly wished it would remain that way. At the communications console sat Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, listening across the deep space channels. Fluent in 6 human tongues and 3 alien dialects learned at the academy, she was among the fleet's finest specialists, able to unravel nearly any transmission from the void. On this calm Tuesday morning, she expected little more than trade reports and colony updates drifting through. Then it struck. The signal arrived from nowhere, slamming into their receivers like a thunderclap. Maya snapped upright, fingers racing across her console. The message was faint, broken, but unmistakably a cry for help. Someone out there was desperate, pleading for rescue. The source was traced to a star system 3 sectors from their current location. Jake stepped over to her station, eyes narrowing at the readings. The transmission was alien in origin, yet carried the universal emergency frequency. Whoever sent it wanted anyone to know lives were being lost. For several tense minutes, Maya cleaned the static until finally the words became clear. Jake felt the chill run down his spine. The call came from the Zaffaran Republic. He had studied them in briefings, but never met their kind. The Zephyrians were peaceful merchants, known for their rare crystals and breathtaking art. They had no real military, surviving on their reputation for honesty and fairness. Their world, Zephyr Prime, held over 50 million souls. Word by word, Maya translated the plea. The Zephyrians were under assault by a power calling itself the Korak Empire. Jake had never heard the name, but the sheer terror in the alien's voice pierced through the garbled speech. Their defenses were gone, their skies surrounded by hostile fleets, their people stranded with no escape. The message played again and again, "Help us before it is too late. Save our children. Do not let our species vanish in the dark." By the time the Vengeance received the call, it was already 6 hours old. Jake knew in 6 hours entire populations could be lost. Earth Command had to hear this without delay. He ordered Maya to transmit the full recording to Admiral Lisa Carter. Carter, the hardest commander he had ever served under, was known for swift, decisive judgment. If anyone could act, it would be her. As Maya relayed the message, Jake summoned his senior officers to the bridge. Commander Ryan Brooks was the first to arrive. Brooks commanded the UES Hellfire, currently docked to the Vengeance for routine servicing. A year older than Jake, Ryan had seen combat during the colony uprisings 5 years ago, experience that might prove critical if this crisis became a war. Lieutenant Colonel Sam Parker arrived next. As tactical officer of the Vengeance, Sam possessed more knowledge of space warfare than anyone Jake had ever encountered. He had studied every pivotal battle in human history, adapting those lessons for the Void. He was the kind of strategist who could turn disaster into triumph through sheer ingenuity. Moments later, Commander Nina Walsh appeared via hololink from her ship, the UEES Reaper. Her vessel patrolled the system's edge but could reach the Vengeance within 2 hours if required. Nina's reputation was one of ferocity. Her crew followed her into danger without hesitation, knowing she always struck first and hardest. Jake replayed the Zephyrian distress call for them, watching their expressions harden as Maya translated again. Ryan shook his head grimly. 50 million souls were too many to abandon. Sam immediately began crunching travel estimates and weapon loads, while Nina pressed for details on Korak military strength. None of them had ever even heard the name of this empire. The reply from Admiral Carter arrived faster than Jake anticipated. She had already reviewed the transmission, matching it against intelligence from the frontier colonies. The Korak were identified as a warrior species, enslaving every race they conquered. 17 civilizations had been erased by them in the last 50 years. Their civilians shown no mercy. Her orders came sharp and uncompromising. The Death Squadron was to deploy at once to the Zephyrian system, assess conditions, and if the threat proved real, Take whatever action was required to protect innocent lives. The Death Squadron, Earth's most elite fighting force, consisted of 12 warships, armed to the teeth and commanded by the fleet's finest officers. Jake's pulse quickened as he read the orders. Until now, the squadron had only performed drills and patrols. Never once had it faced true battle. And now, they were sent against an unknown enemy who had already crushed 17 worlds. Within an hour, the 12 ships were on the move, sliding into formation. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level entire cities, their crews trained for any conceivable engagement. They had studied alien weaponry and tactics endlessly, but theory had never been tested in fire. Maya remained at her console, listening to the emergency frequencies. The messages kept coming from the Zephyrian system, weaker now, more frantic. The defenders were still resisting, but their struggle was fading fast. Time was running out. The squadron's jump to hyperspace required 3 tense hours. During that span, Jake did everything he could to prepare his crew for what lay ahead. Based on Maya's timeline, the Zephyrians had fought for 6 days already. By now, their navy was almost certainly gone, leaving the enemy free to bombard the surface. When the Death Squadron emerged at the edge of the Zephyrian system, the sight that met them was worse than anyone had feared. Fields of wreckage drifted in silence, the once proud defense fleet annihilated. Zephyr Prime, a jewel of blue and green, lay ensnared in a ring of dark alien warships. As the humans watched, a graceful Zephyrian cruiser vanished in a storm of fire. 300 lives extinguished in an instant. The Korak fleet stretched across the heavens like a spreading shadow, choking the light around the beautiful world of Zephyr Prime. Jake Morrison counted. Over 200 enemy vessels filled the Vengeance's sensors, each one forged purely for destruction. The alien ships looked nothing like human craft. Jagged shapes twisted around glowing red weapon ports, dark silhouettes that radiated menace. These were not explorers or traders. They were engines of war, created to spread death. At the center of this armada loomed the flagship of Admiral Vexar, a colossal warship that dwarfed even Earth's largest vessels. Vexar had subjugated 17 star systems with the same brutal doctrine: annihilate military resistance first, then eradicate civilians who defied surrender. He had never faced a force equal to his firepower, and he did not expect the strange new fleet to be different. Meanwhile, Maya Rodriguez strained at her console, chasing faint signals from shattered Zephyrian ships clinging to life in the asteroid belt near the 4th planet. Their crystalline hulls leaked atmosphere, beauty reduced to ruin. Their terrified voices whispered broken prayers into the void, as if their gods had abandoned them. Jake studied the tactical display, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Parker at his side. Sam dissected the enemy's formation, battleships massed at the center, lighter craft spread in a perimeter. A textbook siege, designed to trap survivors and pound the surface into submission. The Death Squadron glided into attack formation with flawless precision born of years of training. Commander Ryan Brooks maneuvered the UES Hellfire to the left flank, while Commander Nenna Walsh swung the Reaper wide to the right. The other 9 ships slotted into place, awaiting Jake's word. Every crew knew this would be the fight of their lives. Opening a channel to the Korak flagship, Jake followed protocol for first contact. His message was crisp and uncompromising. The aliens were to withdraw at once and cease attacks on civilians, or Earth's fleet would intervene to protect the people of Zephyr Prime. Admiral Vexar's reply came not in language, but in fire. 3 blazing particle beams tore from his flagship and slammed into the Vengeance. The ship shuddered violently, but its armor held, the damage minimal. In that moment, Vexar made the gravest mistake of his long career. He had fired the first shot at humanity. What the alien commander did not understand was that humans had spent their entire history at war with themselves, perfecting the art of combat across millennia. Every conflict, from ancient fields to orbital sieges, had taught them strategy. The Korak relied on brute force and numbers. Humanity combined intellect with steel. Sam Parker activated the tactical systems, feeding data through a computer loaded with centuries of human battles. Within minutes, weak points in the enemy formation appeared. Targeting data flashed across the Death Squadron's displays. The first exchange lasted less than 3 minutes, but its impact stunned both the Korak and the hidden Zephyrians. Human weapons designed for accuracy and coordination over sheer volume struck with surgical precision. Railgun rounds ripped through alien armor, detonating 3 Korak heavy cruisers in brilliant fireballs. The enemy had never witnessed such deadly accuracy at such range. Their energy weapons, though devastating, required close quarters to be effective. Commander Brooks seized the moment, executing a flanking maneuver no alien force could have anticipated. The Korak fought in rigid hierarchies, each move chained to orders from above. Humans fought differently, individuals acting within a coordinated whole, shifting tactics instantly. Maya intercepted Korak transmissions, running them through translation software to catch every word. The alien chatter revealed confusion and fear. The humans were responding far faster than expected. What should have been another effortless conquest was turning into a nightmare. These opponents seemed to predict every move before it happened. Commander Walsh's UEES Reaper darted among the enemy like a predator slicing through prey. Trained for high-speed strikes, Nena's crew executed each maneuver with flawless precision, their ship weaving through alien formations and leaving destruction in its wake. With every pass, another Korak vessel was crippled or obliterated, while the Reaper sustained only superficial damage. Aboard her ship, Dr. Elena Foster studied the battle with clinical intensity. As a xenopsychologist, she specialized in understanding how other species thought, fought, and faltered. Her analysis revealed what humanity's weapons alone could not: psychological weaknesses in the enemy. The Korak depended completely on their rigid command structure. If the humans could sever that chain, the entire formation would collapse into disorder. Hidden among asteroid shadows, battered Zephyrian survivors watched in awe. For 6 days they had known only despair, watching their graceful crystal vessels shattered mercilessly. Now, for the first time, hope stirred. Humanity, this unknown species, was fighting back with a ferocity and coordination beyond imagination. Survival, once unthinkable, now seemed possible. Admiral Vexar recognized the shift. He was facing something he had never encountered. Warriors who combined ingenuity, speed, and technology in ways his fleet could not counter. For the first time in his career, cold fear crept into the Korak commander's thoughts as he witnessed his mighty armada bleed. Meanwhile, Elena continued her work aboard the Reaper, cataloging every detail of the enemy's behavior. Years of research into warrior cultures across the galaxy had taught her to see patterns invisible to most. The Korak fought with inflexible hierarchies, junior officers paralyzed until superiors gave orders. This made them predictable, and predictability was a fatal flaw. Her findings were transmitted to Captain Morrison and the Death Squadron's leadership. The weakness was clear: destroy the enemy's command vessels and their fleet would unravel. Leaderless, the Korak ships would lose cohesion, breaking apart into isolated targets. Jake Morrison read Elena's report and immediately summoned his senior officers. Sam Parker pored over tactical data, refining strike options, while Maya monitored the alien channels for shifts in tone. Commander Brooks appeared via secure link from the Hellfire, and Walsh joined from the Reaper. The officers knew they had little time. The Korak could still adapt, unless humanity struck first. Sam Parker identified 3 critical commands. Sam Parker pinpointed 3 command ships through the intercepted chatter Maya had decoded. At the heart was Admiral Vexar's flagship, coordinating the entire armada. 2 smaller vessels directed the left and right wings. If all 3 could be destroyed or disabled, the Korak fleet would lose cohesion and crumble into chaos. Captain Morrison approved a daring new plan: Operation Broken Chain. The strategy demanded flawless timing from all 12 ships of the Death Squadron. Commander Brooks would lead a direct strike on the enemy flagship, while the rest of the fleet created diversions to scatter enemy fire. It was a desperate gamble, one that could win the war or doom them all. On the Vengeance, Chief Petty Officer Mike Torres readied his fighter wing for what every pilot knew might be a one-way mission. Torres was Earth's best, his 30 strike craft outfitted with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. Their assignment: pierce the flagship's defenses and cripple Admiral Vexar's command systems, while the main fleet tied down enemy guns. The assault began with Nana Walsh. The Reaper slashed through the heart of the enemy formation at impossible speed, forcing Korak gunners to track targets faster than their systems could handle. By the time they unleashed their barrage, the Reaper was already gone, reappearing from a different angle to tear into another cruiser. On the opposite flank, Captain Alexis Hunt drove the Stormbreaker into the fray. Her ship was built for speed, its crew trained for knife-edge close-quarters combat. Hunt darted between alien vessels, unleashing point-blank volleys into armored hulls before vanishing like a phantom. Each pass left fire and wreckage in her wake. While the Reaper and Stormbreaker sowed chaos, Torres led his fighters on a direct run toward Vexar's flagship. The smaller craft weaved through storms of defensive fire, too fast for the lumbering alien cannons. Pilots died in brilliant flashes of flame, but Torres pressed on grimly, leading his wing straight toward the flagship's weaker points, the glowing weapon ports and massive engine vents. Conventional weapons could not pierce its armored shell, but disabling its critical systems might tip the battle. Meanwhile, Major Kevin Walsh prepared Earth's Marines across all 12 ships for boarding actions. Trained in zero-gravity combat, armed with vacuum-capable weapons and adaptive armor, they were ready to storm any crippled enemy vessel. Unlike most alien troops, humanity's soldiers had learned to fight in every conceivable environment: oceans, deserts, frozen wastes, and now the void itself. They never yielded, no matter the odds. Ryan Brooks brought the Hellfire within striking distance of a Korak command ship. Anticipating its evasive maneuvers, he positioned perfectly, unleashing a devastating railgun barrage. Armor shattered, the enemy's bridge erupted in fire, one command vessel gone in seconds. On the Vengeance, Maya Rodriguez jammed Korak communications, choking off coordination between their fractured wings. Humanity's expertise in electronic warfare, born from decades of espionage and cyber conflict back on Earth, now served to save an alien race from annihilation. Across the system, Korak formations began unraveling. Cut off from their leaders, their ships stumbled into disarray, reacting too slowly while human officers struck again and again with flawless timing. Sam Parker fed updated targets to the fleet, guiding each strike with surgical precision. Every move the enemy made was anticipated, countered, and crushed. The surviving Zephyrians watched, stunned, as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. Humanity fought with a grace and fury no single species should have possessed. Their ships moved like extensions of their own will, their attacks landing with terrifying accuracy. For the first time in days, the Zephyrians dared to hope. Then the Korak weapons shifted, turning toward the undefended cities of Zephyr Prime. Jake Morrison felt it in his bones. The same primal fury that rose in every human across the Death Squadron. The aliens had crossed a line no civilized being should ever cross. By targeting the helpless, they had awakened something deep and ancient in the human soul. An instinct honed through millions of years of survival and thousands of years of war. Jake's voice carried across every channel as he gave the order that would echo through history. All human ships were to abandon defensive postures and unleash maximum force. No restraint, no mercy. The Death Squadron would show these butchers what humanity truly was when driven to protect the innocent. Every ship primed its full arsenal, ready to hurl the wrath of Earth at the enemy. Admiral Vexar, watching from his flagship, felt unease gnaw at him as the human fleet abruptly changed its rhythm. They were no longer fighting a conventional battle. Something far worse was coming. The human ships accelerated with a speed and